it's not the end of the world. Like there's a lot of things we can get better, and it's good that we're going to do it now because it has to be done. So those are my messages to the team, with other teams, but some of the main things.
It's not the end of the world. It's not. Hello and welcome aboard, Galan and George. It is Thursday, September 26th of 2024. I'm glad that we got to have an Astros division championship party to forget, Joe, about what happened on Sunday, the most embarrassing loss of the D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud era, 34-7 to the Minnesota Vikings. We're at an interesting point now where you got to ask yourself, how does one move on from being embarrassed? Everyone goes through it in life, whether it's us on the radio or for most people, something that happens on the schoolyards.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone goes through a moment where they're going to have just a rough time.
I mean, everyone's got that moment. We've all been there. We've all been embarrassed. Are you going to share your most embarrassing moment today?
What? You made it seem like that's what I was going to do right away. No.
Oh, okay. We're going to say it. Okay.
Guess what? I have never been embarrassed in my entire life. This is coming from a guy who sang a song yesterday.
But I believe that because you wouldn't sing the song if you were embarrassed about it, right? Like you wouldn't have.
I was
the
embarrassed.
chutzpah.
I was embarrassed as I was singing it, actually, to be perfectly honest. But this is one of those things where, I've had a couple of moments. I've had so many, honestly, they all just blend together. And it really is about what do you do next?
And that's what the question is for the Texans is how do you respond to this next game against a team that's not playing good football?
Against a team that has embarrassed themselves a lot.
Yeah, I mean they are
the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The embarrassment of the NFL. I saw, a bunch of Jags fans yesterday on social media responding to UCF Jags, the guy who went viral last year, was responding to this tweet from the 33rd team. They put out their power rankings. They had the Jacksonville Jaguars as 32nd in the NFL. It's like all they've done is embarrass themselves after giving Trevor Lawrence a massive contract. So how do you bounce back against a team that's struggling this much? It's going to say a lot about who the Houston Texans are this year, because my expectations for their bounce back is to dominate the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I'm not going that far.
I know they might not do it, but they're a way better football team than Jacksonville.
I guess. I don't even know if they'll win. Last time they played, Jaguars won. How do we know they're a better team?
I give them a pass because if Matt Amendola is not the kicker, they would have won that football game.
Oh, they would have tied it and sent it into overtime.
Yeah, you're right.
We don't know what happens then.
But Jacksonville then is just not who they are now. So that's why I don't view.
Well, yeah, they were 8-3 then, and they've lost 8 of 9 since.
Yeah, it's been tough. It's been a tough go. But how do you bounce back? I mean, how do you? I think it starts with the one thing we've talked about a lot this week: penalties. It's got to be better. Because that's something that's controllable for you. Stop jumping off sides. Be lined up correctly if the officials tell you that you're not lined up correctly.
Oh, so the basics.
Well, they seem to struggle with them.
See, it's funny because you're right.
Yeah.
But clearly it's not that simple for these guys. I suppose being at NRG Stadium, that should take the false starts and the false starts out of the equation. And maybe the illegal formations by proxy also leave. But no, there's a lot of other egg on their face. The defense did not play well, did not make plays. And I look at that Jaguars team that the last time the Texans played them had a bunch of big plays that were on short passes. And I still wonder, but you got to turn the page. And I know they're all doing the right thing. So how do you move on from embarrassment? There's a couple of ways here. You can deny it happened entirely.
Mm-hmm.
And then hope enough good things happen for you afterwards where people will forget. Or you can go this route that Billy Madison did to help out his friend Ernie in the Adam Sandler hit movie from 1995. My God, it's almost 30 years old.
So good, though.
Here is Billy Madison when he saw his friend Ernie had peed his pants, making it seem like he too had peed his pants.
Hey, look, everybody. Billy peed his pants.
Of course I peed my pants. Everybody my age pees their pants. It's the coolest.
Really?
Yes, you ain't cool unless you pee your pants.
Wow. Hey, man, Ernie pees pants, too. All right.
If peeing your pants is cool, consider me Miles Davis.
Oh, that was the grossest thing I've ever heard in my life. Let's go.
Shout out to that old lady coming in there with that tidbit of TMI.
I forgot about her as that scene was playing out.
I mean, peeing your pants, pooping your pants. It's a very embarrassing thing to have happen to you at a young age, especially if you're at school. I know in high school, there's a poor lass who wore white pants one day. No, not the white pants that I wear from time to time. And at one point, there looked to be a stain on the back.
Oh.
And this turned into a huge thing. Now, to her credit, she never, ever listened to them, never heard about it. I'm sure she thought about it. Poor girl. But it's one of those things she never acknowledged. Meanwhile, Billy Madison did acknowledge it.
Mm-hmm.
Would the correct approach for this lass in my high school have been to embrace it the same way that Billy Madison did and try to spin zone it? Probably not. Still wouldn't have worked, but at least it would have been a little bit funny. So they have to lean into this. That's all they can do. They have to lean into it. I know that Laramie Tunsil's saying, oh, the refs are out to get us. You can say that, and maybe he has an argument there, but that's not going to happen. Really, all you can do is say, we sucked, and we're on to Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm. And just deal with it. I kind of like the just deal with it model. If it was a boy, for the record, though, I think that if it's a boy with the stain on the white shorts, you play into it a little bit more. You have a little more fun. If
you have to, yeah.
With it being a girl, it's tough. That puts you in a tough spot.
Rough.
That puts you in a tough spot.
And again, she might not have even done anything.
Yeah,
we actually do not know.
Yeah.
It's not like there was a post-game interview where the Woodward and Bernstein of Shorecrest Preparatory School, me, because I was working at the Shorecrest Chronicle, there's nobody there to ask her about what had happened.
Imagine in daily life, you had to answer press conference questions for things that happen. I mean, you basically do that with your dating life. You answer questions.
No, I just unprompted bring it up.
That's true, but it's almost like a press conference because I feel like the Twitch prompts you into it. But that's what they have to do. They just have to recognize what happened last weekend and just deal with it. Cool. You know what? If the refs are targeting you, fine. What's the difference in what the Astros have done? Look at the Astros. Look at your big brother and see how they have handled the adversity that they've dealt with the booing and having umpires feels like giving them bad calls for 5 years.
They won first too. So there already was an element of cool with the Astros where the Texans are the new kid at the school and everyone thought they were pretty cool. And then they opened their mouth for the first time. They had a really high nasally voice and everyone was like, oh, you had so much more mystery when you never talked, when you just shut up and looked cool.
How would you say they move on best from embarrassment?
Yeah, you have to act like it didn't happen. They're doing that right now. So that is good. You have to act like it didn't happen. And then eventually you can go back and laugh at it, but you have to just ignore it and act like it didn't happen. And clearly address the mistakes that were made. And I mean, it's not just the false starts, as much as we want to say it. It's not just the illegal formations. The defense sucked. They sucked. Couldn't do anything against Sam Darnold. They were getting run all over. And the offense itself, it was a sloppy performance. And it does look like they're going to be as hamstrung, if not more hamstrung, this coming Sunday, because we saw on the injury report, Joe Mixon, Dameon Pierce, and Tank Dell did not practice. I'm not going to go so far as I think old Jer Bear was yesterday, getting mad about the Texans leaving in starters at the end of the game. Pretty soft. You're not playing well. Honestly, I think you should have to finish the game.
I mean, it's just unfortunate. Like, guys, you can't protect everyone. You just can't.
Injuries happen in football.
Yeah. You want to take Nico and Stephon Diggs off the field? Okay, fine.
I don't agree with that. If the offense is not working, stay on until it works. Get extra reps. Oh, you might get hurt. It's a game. It's a violent game. Oh, you might get hurt. God. So many soft people talking about the sport these days.
Well, because he might have got hurt anyways. Like, it's just Tank Dell.
Yeah, Tank Dell, that is something that always could happen. You're right. He's a smaller guy on the field.
No, but I'm with you. Like, and that's where it starts for me. It starts with the most with CJ, not even D'Amico, because CJ is the one. Like, he is the quarterback of this team. This team is going to go where he takes them. And through the last 6 quarters of football, he has not been particularly good. The offense has been dreadful, and they have to find a solution. So whether it's, CJ just having a way to just be the top 5 quarterback that he's supposed to be, just has to forget it. Like pretend like it never happened. It's like when you throw an interception. They always say this with quarterbacks or a pitcher in baseball. Like these guys, you can't dwell on one negative moment. You can't dwell on a bad game. You just got to look at the next thing. So I'm with you. Just pretend like it never happened. You can work on stuff during the week, but just you got to forget about it and just move on. And you cannot dwell in the idea of what happened the previous week because there are things that the defense did that weren't totally terrible.
They had 4 sacks, so you at least have that.
Yeah.
But that's truly all you did. Like the 2 guys who after Sunday's game can hold their head high. Stephon Diggs, who did produce, he had 10 for 90. He also tried to rally the troops. And Tim Settle, a defensive tackle, who had 2 sacks. Defensive tackle, I would imagine many Texans fans had not heard of.
First time he got a sack in the game on Sunday, I was like, who's that guy?
Yep. Will Anderson also had a sack. I mean, look, the pass rush had its moments, but Sam Darnold carved you up. I know the yardage wasn't high, but he threw 4 touchdowns on you, and he was making some magic happen out there. So we're on to Jacksonville. 713-780-3776 to call in, to text in. You can join on YouTube at ESPN Houston or on Twitch at ESPN 975. Up next, okay, we're going to do some impromptu power rankings here. And we're going to use, since we were just talking about getting embarrassed, a high school to figure out where to place the Houston Texans among the NFL. They're not the cool kids. Nope, they're not. What are they? Jocks? Goths? Stoners? Burnouts? Losers? We'll discuss.
Last week we didn't play well. At the end of the day, that's all it came down to. We didn't play well. We had some good moments where we executed, made some nice plays, but they were negated by us. So it's very hard to win again when you got the Texans and the Vikings playing against the Texans. That's pretty hard to win that game. So once we get the Texans out of the way and we just go focus on our opponent and we handle us well, then we'll be just fine.
D'Amico's leaning into it a bit. There is a part of me that wish he just went Belichick and said, Jacksonville, 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 Jacksonville.
You think that'll go over well?
Jacksonville.
I feel like that's only a Belichick thing.
It should be an everybody thing.
Just say Jags.
Listen, just like Detective Dignam in The Departed, just like he said about the feds, feed them bleep, keep them in the dock. Let's do the same thing. I would love this. I would enjoy this, and then to talk to some of the frustrated members of Houston Texans media afterwards.
Oh boy, they wouldn't be able to handle that very well.
No, they couldn't take Arian Foster saying, I'm just trying to be the best teammate I could be for about a minute and a half back in 2014. So you've seen the movie Mean Girls, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
For those who haven't, Lindsay Lohan plays this new girl who's been homeschooled with her parents in Africa while they're out safarying or something. And she goes to this high school, and there's a bunch of girls called the Plastics at this high school that bring her in, and she becomes part of this inside plot to take the Plastics out. Mm-hmm. But along the way, she becomes one of the Plastics, and she has to decide, is she a plastic or is she herself? Whatever the case. The Plastics were, the bells of the ball at the high school. Mm-hmm. You got Rachel McAdams, Amanda Seyfried, the girl who plays Gretchen, whose name is forgettable, but has been in a million different things. And I mean, that's where you're trying to be. You want to be one of them. And right now, the NFL does not have many of those. If we're talking about like a high school food chain, mm-hmm. You've got the Chiefs and the Bills. Right now, it's just those teams. The Chiefs, because they've been there and done that, but they're starting to look a little bit like Gretchen after she started eating the Swede bars. Like, they've packed on some pounds, but they're still the top dog. And you've also got the Bills, who everyone thought was dead, but this year have been the most impressive team in the league through 3 games.
Yeah, I feel like the Bills they fit into the category, but now by the end of the year, sometimes people aren't so sure anymore. But then they come back from summer with the new tan, looking nice, and they're automatically back into the cool kids club.
The new tan.
Yeah, get the summer tan. But I feel like maybe by the end of the school year,
I can't tan.
Same. I can't.
Who's whiter? 713-780-3776. Because Sean's pretty white too.
I think it might be me.
No, it's definitely me.
I put on long sleeves because I was starting to get burned by these lights.
So they're not there. Are they even close to there? I don't think they're even close.
They felt close to there. They felt close to there in the offseason when it was pretend. When it was make believe.
Did they put up a thirst trap on social media and everyone was saying, "Oh wow, can't wait till they get back." And then we got back and like, "Oh, they're the same.
Yeah,
old. They're the same old."
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. It's during the summer. They got really cool. They put some photos up. Maybe some things came in.
Some ass shots.
Yeah,
and the donk was popping. But now all of a sudden it's like, oh, there might have been a little Photoshop going on.
Yeah, it's like maybe we got that summer 6-pack going. And then you show up and you're like, oh, that's not real.
Airbrush six-pack.
Yeah, like that's not real.
Like Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Maybe you thought they got like a tattoo when they were only 17, so you thought they were super cool. Yeah.
I don't even think they're in the second coolest part of a high school right now. I mean, you got the jocks or the cool kids as well. Like they're not the top of the top, but they're top adjacent. So I would say right now that includes the Lions, the Eagles, Packers because of what they're doing without Jordan Love. There's some other people that normally would be in this conversation. We're not going to put them there because of the slow starts they've been off to. The 49ers, the Ravens, maybe the Bengals.
Would you put the Jets back in there?
No.
Okay.
The Jets are the Jets. The Jets right now are in the next category, which is where the Texans find themselves. The Jets are the new guys because they really have only had Aaron Rodgers for 3.001 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you're at. You're in the same conversation as teams like the Jets, the Bucks, the Saints for now, the Seahawks, Steelers, and Vikings. And the Vikings are cooler than you right now. Like that's where you are. To quote Anna Delvey in that TV show where on Netflix, for those who haven't seen it, it's something. I don't know if it's good.
That's a good way to put it, Paul. It's something.
The character who plays Ruth in Ozark, or the actress who plays Ruth in Ozark, is the main character, and she says a bunch of just amazing one-liners. But one of them is, "You're not special," with this weird accent. And you're not special. You're not special right now. You're new to all of this, and no one thinks you're cool. And unlike the Vikings, the plastics aren't about to welcome you in anytime soon. You have done nothing. You have never done anything of consequence. And I know that bothers a lot of people, but you haven't. Who have you beaten? Who have you beaten? Please answer that question. Who have you beaten that I'm supposed to be impressed by? So I believe some of the hype about this Texans team going into this year, but that's where you stand. You're not forgettable, at least. You're not the Goths. You're not a stoner. You're not a burnout. You're not a loser, but you're in this middle tier of a high school hierarchy and know your place.
I mean, the Cincinnati win, I think, did them a lot of good going into the offseason, and then the playoff win versus Cleveland. But we've kind of seen what Cleveland's become. Maybe their defense wasn't as good as it, statistically appeared last season, though it's been solid so far. So, like, you have the Cincinnati win, and you have the Cleveland win. And, like, that's what this is built off of. Because if we filled out this entire list, a lot of your wins last year came out against people that we would put in the losers and burnout category, right? And we would put, I don't even know where you'd want to put the Colts this year. I'd probably in the burnout
losers.
category. Yeah, losers, Bears, losers. So you haven't beaten anyone this year. The first team you have that's competitive, which like you could argue like maybe the Vikings should be higher on your hierarchy.
No, because I don't buy any of this. It's Sam Darnold. I like what Kevin O'Connell's doing. I like what Brian Flores is doing. I'm still looking at the talent on that roster. Going into the year, I feel the exact same way I did about it. Darnold, they are maximizing him. Darnold will come back to earth. Mark my words.
Mm-hmm.
It'll happen.
I hope so. I don't know if I'm here for the Sam Darnold resurgence.
It's going to happen against your Bears. Like, you guys aren't bringing him back.
Oh, we got till November to get those two guys.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so by then.
So like, hey, there's a drop off. We got plenty of time for that drop off.
That's where it's happening.
Yeah, but that's where I think I'll be honest. I thought there was a chance you were going to put them in the forgettables category, Paul. I thought there was a chance that they were going to.
They can't be because they came onto the scene and they were cool, but like they haven't done anything since then.
Yeah,
you got to throw a party. Where's the kegger without your parents' permission? Like, that's what you got to do. That would be 2 weeks from now against the Bills.
Yeah, it's scheduled for 2 weeks from now, but will anyone go? That's the question.
I mean, people might go, and it might be another moment where you got poop on your pants.
The cops get called.
yeah, you end up in handcuffs. I mean, that could help you out if you end up in handcuffs afterwards to be cooler.
Yeah, but I guess that's like winning like an overtime or losing an overtime game to the Bills. You still ended up in cuffs, but at least you hung tough for most of the party.
They're just in a tricky spot. I mean, this is a no-win scenario on Sunday. The Jaguars are really bad, and if you don't send them to 0-4, we're gonna be even harder on them.
I mean, you don't want to be the reason why Jacksonville flips it around again. Like, you don't want to be the reason why Trevor Lawrence, you don't want on Monday the conversation to be Trevor Lawrence, did they figure it out? Because people still view the Houston Texans in that category. Like, part of the reason why people view the Vikings win as so good this weekend is the respect that they have for the Houston Texans. Like, it's a cool thing to have around the team, that this idea that like you're now a quality win. It shows what Nick Caserio and D'Amico and CJ have done for this franchise, but it was such a poor performance that you're right. It is a lose-lose situation. You beat Jacksonville by 2 touchdowns. Well, you should have done that anyways. You don't cover.
I don't know if I can say I don't know if I can say should though. I want that to happen to feel better about them, but I don't know that it should happen. I feel like right now we're seeing where they're at, and it's a team that still has a lot of things to answer by the end of the year, and maybe by the end of the year they answer them. But you can't say should with anything with them right now. I don't think there's that much that separates the Texans and the Jaguars, even though one team is 0-3. Well, no. How can you say that because of last year? I get they're 0-3 , but. And they're just playing so bad. Loss.
They've lost 8 straight games.
True.
Going back to last year.
Well, 8 straight Trevor Lawrence starts. 8 of 9.
Yes.
But you're right.
Yes. That's guess who started this?
Not Trevor Lawrence. Was it CJ beat?
I have no idea who started. I honestly forgot that weren't all Trevor Lawrence games.
Yeah. I think that it's more of they should win if the Texans are who we think they are, to quote Dennis Green.
Yeah. R.I.P. Denny.
R.I.P.
Thanks for that moment. I don't have a lot of good moments in my football career, football fandom. That's one.
Oh yeah, you have a game where the Bears just bear it up, and that they don't do anything on offense, but they do some magical things on special teams and defense. And then you had a coach meltdown afterwards because I too would have been like, "How did we lose to these guys? Yeah. How?"
But I mean, look, the Bills beat them 47-10. That's why I think should is still fair.
But coming off of that, like, don't you feel? I almost wish that the Jaguars played well against the Bills on Monday. And I get it's a short week, but the Jaguars coming off of a smoking like that. I mean, who's taking them seriously? If you're in the Texans locker room, no matter how badly you played on Sunday, you're still looking at what happened on Monday, and you're like, well, we can still beat them.
So trap game, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. I
see that.
You can't overlook them. They're better than 0-3. That's what I'm trying to say here. I know they've lost a lot, but they're better than 0-3.
They should have won week 1.
Yeah.
I mean, it's partly because of who their quarterback is that they lost.
Who he's been of late.
But they definitely should be at least 1-2.
The last time he looked good was against you.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that Stroud played better than him in that game, but he did have a couple of moments in that one. And I mean, there were touchdown passes that were dropped that came back.
Yeah, he had a tough day around him. Calvin Ridley had a couple drops in that game. I mean, they were struggling to do a lot of the simple things. And this is a team that, like, there's talent there. You know, you have Joshua Hines Allen or whatever his name is now. That, like, he's gonna get after you.
Hey, respect his name.
You have, I know, but
say his name.
When they keep changing their name all the time.
You got it right.
Did I can't remember if it's Allen Hines or Hines Allen.
It's Hines Allen.
I know it's in there somewhere. It's Hines Allen.
Just doesn't want, but you know what? He doesn't want people to think he's Josh Allen, the AFC player of the week.
Again, to me, it is. Thank God he changed his name because it makes it way easier than going, oh, they got to play Josh Allen this week, and then next week they got to play Josh Allen.
It's true, back-to-back Josh Allen games.
Yeah,
but I still put it. I can't, get out of my head of like what we thought about this team before the season, and then what we've seen. So I'm literally, I know I'm being contradictory here. What we've seen so far through 3 weeks for Jacksonville severely outweighs what I've seen from the Texans so far in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
I still believe in the offseason.
That is fair
because just Jacksonville has played so poor, and Trevor Lawrence has been one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, he lost the game to Deshaun Watson this year already, and it's his fault. So while last week is an embarrassment for this team, that's why I still think it's should cover the spread and win by more than a touchdown this weekend.
I want that. I don't know that they will.
I don't know if they will either. I also want that.
I think they'll win. I feel like I'm wishful thinking though with the idea that they're actually going to just house the Jaguars on Sunday.